May I please invite Mr. Subrata Paul, an engineer from IIT Kharagpur with an MBA from London Business School, having over 36 years of experience in the FMCG, engineering, electronics, telecommunication, construction and mining industry, and infrastructure sector. He is a 1974 pass out from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, and he has been staying in Rajendra Prasad Hall of Residence. Let me tell you who he is. He is the CEO and Director of Bengal Aertropolis Projects Limited, Kolkata. So, welcome.
Good evening. For me, before I start, it'll be a very hard act to follow. You're a young guy who's been just out for 6 years. He's started something which I think is becoming a craze. Everybody is excited about it, and he's spoken with a lot of passion, and I think he would connect with you. He's what you were 6 years ago. For me, I was what you are, say, 36 years ago. It's a long time. So, let me start by saying I'm highly honored and privileged to participate in this leadership summit, which has been organized by the students' alumni cell. I just want to make an observation. It's not. It has to be taken in the right spirit. That I'm a little surprised that we have all the students here and we've got one faculty representative. But I don't see many other faculties here. And I think it would have been an inspiration to the students also if the faculty were here to listen to some of the alumni sharing experience. It's not a complaint, it's just sharing something which will be good for the students. I don't care at this age that who listens to me. But I'm saying it gives a good feeling for the students also. As I was introduced, mine has been a very long journey. Long journey of 39 years. I passed out in 1974. And as has been told to you, I graduated in mechanical engineering. I was in RT Hall. Today we talk of leadership summit, but I think I was lucky to have practiced some that I got a chance to get into some leadership position because I was the general secretary of RT Hall. So at least I had some training for I talk of vision, but I remember at that time we had the vision that in 72-73 I was that RT Hall will win both the cultural and the sports district. I think we used to have one trophy for one the maximum thing on sports and one for this thing, and I think we managed to do that. And I think we had when I took over as the general secretary, that's our aim for this year. And in those days, the general secretary's position was not split like soccer, culture, and sports. It used to be one. And that was the vision we had. So coming back, I immediately after IIT had gone to London Business School to do a two-year program, two-year MBA program, and for personal reasons, like very few of my batchmates, I returned immediately to India. And what I'd like to do with you, I won't take too much time. I'd like to share with you some of the career highlights and how that helped me to become what I am. Further, since we are trying to focus here on the issues on leadership, I'd like to share with you what are the skills that you should develop to be an effective leader. That's one. Second, I'd also like to talk about some personal attributes which will help you to be a good human being. Forget being a leader, a good human being. So, two things I'm going to touch. What are the skills that you would like to develop to be an effective leader, and what are the personal attributes you'd like to develop to become a good human being. Then I'd like to share with you I'd like to share this exciting times that is ahead of you. See, you have a career for the next 30, 40 years. That's around the time you will have 30 to 40 years. I believe that this 30 to 40 years are going to be the most challenging and exciting period of India's economic history. The most interesting, challenging over the last 200-300 years. So I'll just share with you what are the important aspects of that history, and you will be the participants of that history. So I'd like to so that you get a feel that what excitement lies ahead of you. It's going to be really exciting time in the next 30-40 years. First, let me get back to what I said, that I'd like to describe certain career highlights. I remember that after my MBA, it was about 8 years in 1985. That was about 8-9 years I've been marketing, and I was suddenly told that now you become a chief executive of a government company that was being taken over in Bengal by the Nico Group. That was in 1985. I was 32. I was sent out as the chief executive to take over Webel Television. In those days, if you remember now, for many of you, 1985 is too long back in history. But that was a time when the Marxists were in full power. Jyoti Basu was the chief minister, and that was the first time when they decided to privatize a company, a government company. So they were privatizing this company called Webel Television. And Nico was going to be the joint sector partner of that company, and I was sent out from Nico's side as the chief executive. When the announcement was made, what happened was I got a news that both the management staff and workers together were demonstrating, saying that we don't want privatization. So we said fine. And then what I did was I got hold of the management staff separately, met them out in a hotel, convinced them, look, if Nico coming in will be good for you, so please don't go out now working with the demonstrating along with the workers regarding this. So they got convinced. So that was one step. Then we said, okay, let's meet the union and try to explain to them what has Nico coming into and privatizing this company, what we will do. I remember that was this meeting with the union in the Webel office, and the union was a Nakshal union, Indian People's Front. So the first meeting, immediately when I started explaining, what they did was they mounted a grab. They had that grab till midnight, and they also threatened that, look, just inform your wife that she's going to be a widow and don't come in, don't try to come in this privatization, all this. And they forced, I remember our chairman was there, a great doyen of the advertising industry, Subrata Paul. He was forced to write to the government saying that please withdraw this. We don't want to have this privatization. So he wrote it out, and then police came in and lifted the 12 in the midnight. Then after this letter went to the government wrote back saying we are not changing our decision. So I decided to go into the factory. The first day that I landed up in the factory again, around the furniture was overturned and I was basically thrown out, saying that we don't. Then we went back to the government and we decided to get him. So next day we went in the state government support and police. We went in there. The union leaders that were there, we asked them to, we suspended them and asked them to go to the factory. So they were very surprised that they thought, they had seen the back of us. They were very surprised to see somebody coming back the next day again after having been physically thrown out, spat on, physically thrown out, to come back and say that we are here. The government has told us to take this over and to manage it, and we will manage it. So the workers stopped production, and we said, if you don't work, no pay. And we went through a negotiation and we convinced the union that you have to get individual workers to sign an agreement which states that they will not do any indiscipline, and they will support the management to resume production. So they agreed and we resumed production. So what was and this same group of workers who behaved like this, I remember after some time they started respecting us because they started believing that look, these guys are serious. They want to do something, and we had also discussed with them the vision that we are going to take this company to the next level. We were going to set up a new factory in Salt Lake in Sector 5. So with that vision, they got convinced and they started supporting us. So the major lesson that I learned was that the management has to assert its right to manage, which would be respected. Means if you give up your right to manage, everyone will walk over. But as management, you have certain rights and you have to always assert. You have to be fair, but you can't get afraid and sort of walk over. So, and the other thing that I learned was that you have to provide a vision for people. Without a vision, nothing works. And only when a vision is there, people engage and align. So now I have applied this leadership lesson in all my subsequent positions that I've held. That is, management's right to manage. Second, provide a vision for the people who need it. The second major highlight of my career was trying to set up a fact. This is more sort of, it's not highly sexy thing, but it's very hard stuff that you do as you go out to work, that you finally have to do, if you leave aside the high-tech side of business or the internet side of business, other businesses are quite boring sometimes. So you have to, and all of you won't have the opportunity to be at the internet or the high-tech side. A lot of you will be in other boring things where what I'm going to say is where project execution skills and all that will be required. This is, I was setting up a high technology manufacturing company for Motion Technologies. Where we had a joint venture with Phenolics Cable. We were setting up the state-of-art, most modern fiber optic cable plant in a place 40 kilometers away from Pune. And we did that in 17 months flat. This is, I'm talking of 1995. And this is where the site was, this is from groundbreaking to having the final cable approved by Department of Cable. So it's just not that you had some production, that cable was also approved in 17 months. And this place where the factory came up didn't have access both in terms of water, electricity and road. We had to build access 5 to 10 kilometers away. We had to either bring in pipe from a lake which was 10 kilometers away. Power line was also 8 kilometers away. Road was 5 kilometers away to build a new road. But in all this, the reason we were successful, and I think this is a thing that you have to be able to use in your life, was detailed planning resulted in flawless execution. Any project execution, there is no end of detailed planning that you can do. More details, so much better. So in any project execution where you have to set up a project, my recommendation is that you have to detailed planning, and I have always seen that, well, in any other projects that I've done, that this detailed planning has been crucial and important. Now, next, I'd like to cover the topic on the skills that you require for leadership. I've already mentioned to you that you have to have a vision. You have to have a vision. Vision for, even when you start, you have to have if you are 10 years later, you're heading a company, that's fine. But when you start, you may be heading a unit, a small unit, maybe a division. But as you go in, even for that division, you must have a vision. And you must be able to communicate that vision to all the employees that are in your unit. That's an ability you must cultivate from beginning. As soon as you get into your whatever assignment you get in, you try to, even if it's a 10-man unit, it's only a marketing division. You create a vision for that unit, and you have to have the ability to be able to communicate it well, so that you get all the people who you lead to engage and align with that vision. That's visioning is an ability you must create that skill for yourself. Because as a leader, if you don't have a vision, you won't have people following you or being aligned with you. The second important thing as a leader, I think you have to cultivate and focus on is external environment management skills. External environment, any business, in anything that you do, there is an external environment. It could be customers, it could be government, it could be suppliers, it could be trade unions, it could be financial stakeholders. So you have to be able to manage these external stakeholders. And you must remember that when you manage stakeholders, there is no win and lose situation. Please don't think that I've been able to sell to a customer by sort of being pulling a fast one. There is no win-lose situation. You lose your customer after some time, because if he believes that you have taken him for a ride, then he will ensure that next time whenever he gets a chance, he will also put you into trouble. So when you are managing your external environment, please remember you always have to create a win-win situation. There is no win-lose situation. So as you handle in anything that you do as a leader, this external environment, always create win-win situations and you use that win-win situation to manage the external environment. Don't use a win-lose, I win, you lose sort of paradigms. Third thing that I like to recommend to you in terms of skill is a team building skill. Leadership style today is inclusive, is a style which focuses on team. You can't use an authoritarian or a divisive style. That doesn't work. I'm the boss doesn't work. You have to build skills which allows you to get your members to participate and be a team. So as a leader, you have to be a team builder. Authoritarian style or any other style that I'm the boss to this doesn't work. So please, as you develop your career, please focus on your team building. You must be a good team. And lastly, this is important, is an ability to pick up quickly a knowledge of the domain that you're operating and to do it every time if there's a domain change. Because if you look today in a 30-year career, probably what I see, the way I see the future, you will have to have within that 30 years, you have 3 to 4 domain or vertical changes. And if you have these, you can't say, I don't think so, like everyone used to join Hindustan Lever and retire. Or say somebody in L&T, engineering company, and they say, okay, I'll manage and I'll be able to finish my career. I don't think so. This will be there in the future. So you have to, but you have the advantage. You have analytical skills, and you have basic technical and scientific knowledge. If you have that, you can pick up domain knowledge very quickly. So you must always remember that I have to be flexible and smart enough to pick up my domain knowledge quickly there. And that will also give you the ability to shift domains easily. Because that's an ability you must have, to be able to have domain expertise built up quickly. So those were the 4 skills that I mentioned, and those were, as I said, visioning, the external environment management, team building, domain knowledge building. Then coming to personal attributes, which I said. In personal attributes, I just have 2 attributes in mind. One, as I think Arunava mentioned about the 4 things he has in the office. About not spitting, not breaking the queue. Those are, creating basic civil society, civic senses and being concerned about the society. So I'm going a step forward by saying that you have to have concern for this society and think what you can give back to society. See, CSR is becoming important in most companies. And you have to also start thinking in any job that you have that, okay, what else in my unit, my division, what else we can do from a company point of view in terms of taking part in the company's CSR activities, or even yourself in terms of, even if it is not through an NGO, not through your company, through an NGO, what you can give back to society. That's I think, that's something that you owe to your society. I saw so many hands being raised that people want change. But if you want change, one thing that you have to remember is that you have to always think that what can I give back to society? Either through the company, through the CSR program, or you work through an NGO, other NGOs which is outside the company, by which you give back something to society. And I believe for being a good human being, that's one attribute which you must personally develop. And the second one is a simple one, very simple one, but I believe if all of us, if all of you here say that I will ensure that I have that attribute, then I think we can have a different India. That simple attribute is integrity in everything that we do. And let me say that how do you do that? And I'm using a very rough word. To ensure integrity, please control your greed. Greed is sounds very. I believe today most of the corruption and ills in the society is because of this greed. We believe, and I think you have to really give it a serious focus. Integrity without this controlling of greed will not work. So this is something which so 2 things I leave behind for you as personal attributes. One is your concern for society. Second is your integrity. Very, very important, these 2 things. And if you want to change India, if you individually have these 2, you can contribute towards change of India. In your own small way. You don't have to, because you can't be the leader, you can't be the Rahul Gandhi or Narendra Modi. Every one of us can't be. The last thing that I'd like to share with you was, I told you that the next 30, 40 years of your life is going to be India will go through in terms of its economic development, it will go through the most challenging and interesting time that has happened in the last 200-300 years. If you go back 2012 years ago to 180, in 180, because this will give you a perspective of what the India that you will inherit. In 180, India was the #1 economy in the world. It had 32% of the world GDP, followed by China at 25.4% in 180. In 1080, that's after another 1000 years, India's share it had dropped, but it was still #1, 28%, followed by China at 22%. This continued till 1580. In 1680, China became #1 with 29% of the world GDP, followed by India at #2. India became #2 then at 22.4%. Then I take you to 1880 because 1820, beginning of 19th century was when Industrial Revolution started and colonialism was at its peak. That's where India lost. And at that time, China was 32.9% and India was 16%. So as I said, with the onset of Industrial Revolution and colonialism, India lost out, and if you looked at 2003, the figure is, all these are on PPP basis. I'm not talking in nominal GDP value, I'm talking of purchasing power parity basis. All these figures that are given. In 2003, China's share had come down to 15.1% and India was 5.5%. But in the next 30-40 years that I am talking, the exciting time that is coming, India by 2050, that's the next 30-40 years, will become the third largest economy after China, USA on PPP basis. This is as per PwC report, which they call World in 2050 report. HSBC also has a similar report of 2050, World in 2050, which also gives similar figures. Will be larger than Japan and Germany. So this will be the natural order of the world, which was prevalent in 180, which I said. It's not still, we still have not become #1, but in 180 till 1500 AD we were #1. But now what you will see in the next 50 years, we will become the #3 in the next 30-40 years. And this is the time you'll all be, your active life will be spent during that time. So you are going to see a fantastic, you'll have a fantastic time in terms of what's going to happen all around. There will be a lot of excitement, a lot of things happening. But some of you, this level of growth will open up unimaginable opportunities. And I believe India will achieve this economic growth in spite or despite our politicians. It's the important thing that you will inherit. I'm calling it, these are the two inheritances I'm giving. One is this economic growth. The other inheritance that I want to talk to you is this demographic dividend. People talk of demographic dividend. Demographic dividend refers to a period of 20 to 30 years during which a greater portion of the population is in the working age group, where the country has to spend less on the dependent population. What's happening is now all the Europe and the United States, especially Europe, will have larger and larger dependent population, means people who are over 60. But in India is entering into the demographic dividend phase where, that's the existing, while China is exiting. Because with their one-child policy, their population is going to go down. But India is now entering, we are at the right peak in terms of demographic dividend. As per 2011 census, India's working age population is between 15 to 64 is about 63.4% of total India. And India will get another 300 billion people between 2010 to 2040 in this working age group. And China's working age percentage has peaked in 2013 and is going to decline. And India is going to have the largest working age population in 2030. So this is a huge opportunity. And I, you as potential leaders, I would like to keep this in mind that what we are having is this huge demographic dividend will propel economic growth, but we have to be able to use these people. So how do you use them? So the biggest issue that is going to come up, and this is a challenge you will face in whatever positions and whatever companies or government, wherever you are, is how to skill India. The skilling India, you have to always keep this in mind. This huge opportunity coming. How do we skill India? How do we skill India with vocational training for these next 300 million people that are coming? And India to really grow will have to think innovative ways of skilling. So I leave it as a challenge to you that as you step out into the real world and as you work your way through, please keep this in mind that always that how do we think, how do we have new schemes and plans to be able to skill India so that we can use this new 300 million people that are going to come in the next 30 years. Finally, I'd like to conclude by saying that you are stepping into an India which is passing through the most exciting period of economic growth, the most exciting period over the last 300 years, where opportunities for all of you will be huge. You don't have to worry on opportunities. You are lucky to be passing out of one of the best institutes of the country, and you must remember that you are among the best and brightest in the society. And because you are the best and the brightest in this society, there is a huge expectation from you. I have mentioned certain skills and attributes also, which if you are able to develop, then you can hopefully leave behind a legacy which will be both satisfying to you and contribute to the society. I shall leave you with a quote of John D. Rockefeller, an American industrialist and philanthropist. I quote, "The road to happiness lies in two simple principles. Find what interests you and you can do well. Find what interests you and you can do well. And put your whole soul into it. Every bit of energy and ambition and natural ability you have." Thank you and good luck.